Welcome back, everybody, to Two Guys, Three Crowns, the podcast about what it's really like to live in Stockholm, Sweden. Join me, Sean, and my fellow American Rodney as we explore the good, the bad, and the just plain weird.
Du gamla, du fria, du fjällhöga nord, du tysta, du glädjerika sköna. Jag hälsar dig vänaste land upp på jord. Din sol, din himmel, dina ängder gröna. Din sol, din himmel, dina ängder gröna.
Skål?
Skål, yeah. That's like almost all Swedish songs end with like a skål.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, is that, I'm going to go out on a wild guess here and say it's the national anthem?
I hope so. I really hope so. I don't know about my pronunciation, but
oh, come on, it's close enough. You're better than I am.
It's close enough. Yeah. So that was my little rendition here on Swedish National Day, formerly known as Swedish Flag Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We've always talked about this thing now because America has Independence Day when we get independence. Right. Stick it to the man.
Fighting
and then
aliens.
Here in Europe, they're like, oh, we're just going to do that because we like the celebration, but it's going to be obedience to the man. Sing your song. Right?
Yes. Yeah, what a great day. I mean, it was okay. Swedish National Day is the 6th of June. It just happens that I arrived in Sweden 17 years ago. I always say it was the 6th of June, but technically I don't know if my plane left San Francisco on the 6th of June, which means that I got here on the 7th of June. But anyway, I say the 6th of June. So 17 years ago.
But this is a special.
And this is my first time celebrating Swedish National Day as a Swedish citizen. Who still doesn't have his passport.
Hey, let's not revisit that.
No, but people that have followed the podcast know that back in March I did get my citizenship, and then
European bureaucracy.
Short story long, I go ahead and I have an appointment to get my passport at the end of the month on the 27th.
Woo!
Yes, so then it will be super duper official.
Yeah. But can we officially announce that we're in June yet? Because yesterday was gorgeous. The 5th of June was absolutely amazing. We went to the beach, Renata, Dylan, and myself, and we spent the day on the beach, like our little Sickla Lake, and like we were like chilling and summertime and the living's easy. And then today it's like, no. It's sunny and it's cold at the same time. And you're
no
like,
more summer for
what?
you. Yeah.
What happened with that? And then the other day, it was like cold and rainy. I'm like, Sweden, you're writing checks that your body can't cash. Come on now.
Says someone's sitting on the weather remote again. Hey, but let me tell you what has been overwhelming, at least the last couple of days, is the pollen count. And
so tell me about this, because Renata is dying and she doesn't normally have allergies, at least in the US, but here she's been like completely like
yeah. No, it's horrendous right now. because we, of course, spent a good portion of the day yesterday, especially morning, was like prepping the backyard. You know, it's like mowing the lawn. I put on a face mask actually yesterday. I'm like, hey, you know, what the heck, for old time's sake. So I put on a face.
I'm not going to have any close contact, but why not?
Hey, why not?
Let's
But I
just show the
figured that might help with the pollen a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of tree we have back here, but that thing it's doing its thing.
It's dusting.
It's all over.
It's making it rain.
And it's the minute you clean something, like 5 minutes later, it's covered again. And you don't see it. You don't really see it. It's just there. But I did the lawn, and then I sprayed off all the furniture. I'm like, pollen be gone. No, pollen be back. The pollen came back, and it has been all over. But it's kind of strange too, because it hasn't been. It's mostly like waking up in the morning. My Veronica has it pretty bad though, because once she starts rubbing her eyes, it's all over.
Yeah,
you know? It's like if you can stop and not do it. But since we moved to Sweden, between allergy pills and allergy drops and nasal sprays,
and that stuff is expensive, man. It's expensive back in the U.S. and here.
Yeah,
well, everything's more expensive. So
no, but it's you know, we try our best, but it's the mornings. It's like waking up in the morning, going to sleep and thinking, hey, maybe I made it through the day and I didn't get, you know, that much pollen and stuff. You wake up in the morning just like,
nope.
So, but it's been, well, that's definitely a telltale sign. And then I have this pollen app. Of course I do.
Pollen app, of course.
There's a pollen app that you can go in, and it tracks and tells you different, you know, what's blooming, what's not blooming, how much is blooming, when it's going to be. It's the whole thing.
Hey, we were at the beach the other day. There was an entire section of the water that was just yellow on top.
Yeah.
I'm like,
nice.
Rodney, it's blooming.
Don't need an app for that.
Yeah,
it was. But I went in this morning. I'm like, okay, something has got to be off the chart. It's got to be like up there, just, you know, in the red zone.
Right.
But the only thing that's high right now, as far as the app was concerned, was like grass pollen now, and
it's all the pollen. If the lake is covered in yellow, it's all the pollen. Come on, people.
What was I calling it? Pollen Geddon?
Pollen.
Pollen, yeah. It is definitely out there. So, you know, Swedish summer. Hey, Swedish summer was nice yesterday, though. I mean, that was the nice, you know, now we're headed back towards dark.
I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it the one day of Swedish summer. And then it's sadly gone. It's gone.
Yeah. Hey, but no, you were at like a little party. You were at a shindig today.
I was at a shindig. That's right. So the whole day has been kind of a weird vibe, because we had this sunny, beautiful, hot day yesterday. So now Dylan is ready. He's like, I want to play outside all the time, which for me is fantastic, because we can just let him outside and like play in the sandbox or whatever. But then it's like kind of cloudy, like sort of partly cloudy. And when it gets that thing, it's still only, I mean, even in the dead of summer, Sweden is no more than 23 degrees, something like that, which is 75-ish Fahrenheit. So today was a high of 16, which is about 62-ish.
Yes.
Doing my kind of funny math to achieve that. And then, but if it's cloudy, then it's like the second the sun goes behind the clouds, you're like, okay, kid, it's cold outside now.
Right.
No. Like, I can't be wearing these shorts anymore. And like, I run inside and like, I throw some sweatpants on, and he's like, what are you wearing that for?
Yeah.
And I'm like, cause it's cold outside, bruh. I'm cold. I I have Florida blood, man.
Yeah.
You don't even know about this thing called Florida blood. It's
Yeah.
Florida blood is the real thing.
Yeah.
But we had the 10-year celebration of our building, which was super nice. So we're kind of a mixed use building. So we have restaurants in the front along the street.
Okay.
So then they did, like, because it's a holiday, right? They don't have service on a holiday day.
Right.
So they were able to, like, say, yeah, we'll go ahead and cater your event for you. So it was super nice. We had this Spanish paella, like proper Spanish paella. It was amazing.
Nice.
And then the Indian restaurant was coming up and pulling some things up, and it really, 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 really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then Dylan's like, no, I want to go inside. I want to watch cartoons. I'm like, yeah, but the food is so good. He's like, no,
please,
cartoons. I'm like,
please, Dylan, just a little bit. Yeah. Dylan, say you want more. Yeah, my son would like some more.
yeah.
Here,
And
just
then
put it in my
people are
bowl.
like, yeah, why don't you have a second one? I'm like, have you met this one first?
Yeah. Speaking of speaking of food, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time because this could be like its whole own podcast. But we would be amiss if we didn't at least mention Swedengate. There, I mentioned it. there, I mentioned it.
We need to mention. I need to get battery. Oh my god! And then we come back. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Fuck! How did it run out so fast?
Okay.
All right, I'm coming back.
So as Sean does the mad scramble to see if he can find batteries for whatever it is that ran out of batteries, mind you, we've been doing this for 3 years now. This is episode 152, so it's not as if batteries are a new invention. And there is actually a light in Sean's closet. Oh, look, electrical devices.
Now, is it going to stretch?
Okay, here we go. I don't know if we've had this much excitement since my microphone fell off the stand.
Right here?
But, okay, I see. Okay, that's where they keep the ironing board. It is holding up the wall with the plugs. I'll take this opportunity to say that those of you listening to the audio show can also go in and check out the YouTube video if we still have batteries.
I can't hear anything, which is great.
Okay.
You can hear everything, and I can't hear anything.
Yeah. But Sean has been the most fantastic person to have on a podcast, and I just wanted to go ahead and say that so that he knows that. Yes. Okay, how did everything go?
It's all recording, so I'm going to hear it later.
Absolutely, you will.
Okay, let me mark myself again, and then we're picking up at Swedengate.
No. We're not picking up anything. We're just
picking it up.
No, come on, let's roll with it.
Let's go with it. Okay,
let's go.
Sean is back because I don't know how to charge my battery of my computer. So there is Swedengate that Rodney's apparently a part of. I have seen. I'm putting you in it. That's it.
Right.
Whatever just happened for the last 2 minutes, I'm putting you in Swedengate.
Yeah. Okay.
But is this a thing?
Let's say. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it was a thing, and if it still is a thing, it really doesn't deserve to be a thing.
But you are famously half Hawaiian and half Swedish.
Yes.
So I'm assuming you already told people what happened.
No, I was gonna go ahead and just give a quick overview, just a brief one to fill people in, because I did have a couple of people actually write to me after this whole thing came up, and said that you should definitely mention and maybe talk
Because
about.
I'm
Swedengate.
looking at this stuff, and there's this side of my brain that says there's no way this can possibly happen, and then there's an other side of my brain
Right.
that says, but yeah, it's so Swedish, of course
Right.
it's happening.
So this is what happened. For those of you that, for whatever reason, don't know what Swedengate or hashtag Swedengate is, something popped up. I believe the original was on Reddit, and then
Yep.
it spread to Twitter, and then it exploded. And what it was there was a question about what is the weirdest thing that you've had to do at someone else's house because of their culture or religion.
Yes.
That was the original question. And then a person went ahead and answered that they remembered, and quote, unquote, I remember going to my Swedish friend's house, and while we were playing in his room, his mom yelled that dinner was ready. And
then he went downstairs and ate dinner, right?
And then he was told to wait in the room while the friend went down and ate dinner. And it just exploded from there. And
then there was a response of someone else saying, yeah, the parents yelling from downstairs of a sleepover, breakfast is ready, and the one kid that was Swedish that
Right.
lived in the house went downstairs and then ate breakfast and then came back up or something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, the moral of the story is that Swedish people don't give food for your guests.
well,
What
no,
is
I mean,
this?
no, but that's the
You
that-
animals!
No, but that's where I think it really exploded and took off, and it made it sound like nobody's feeding anybody's guests, but there are definitely cultural differences, and I mean, it's not like everybody it's not feeding.
I mean,
play
they
dates
can
and
go
kids that come
outside
over.
and like hunt for an animal. I mean, they're not starving, right?
No. But I mean, there are times of the day, like when kids come over and play, that well, I mean, it's a little hard for me to because I am now bicultural, right? So
I know.
have my American side and my Swedish side. So I'm like trying to stick
Rodney's
up.
got two passports now. He's got to
I'm
be
trying
careful.
I'm trying to be diplomatic here. This is my diplomatic answer. But it kind of gets into that realm of what I used to call swawkward, where usual things that might not become awkward situations just for whatever reason, people overthinking and doing things. But I mean, if there's kids over here, and it's always been like that when my kids were growing. I mean, if there are kids here playing, when it's lunchtime, depending upon if they're next door, I mean, of course, we told them, you could either stay for lunch, you can go home for lunch, come back when you're done. As far as dinner times and stuff like that, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. But there's like a gazillion answers on about this, about people saying why and why not. So, but Swedish people do actually feed their guests and kids. Now they might check. They might check and make sure that
they tend to feed people. It's okay.
that they're not interrupting somebody else's dinner plans. If somebody's here when we're eating, I'm like, look, well,
That makes sense. That makes sense.
call your parents or whatever. You can eat here if you want to, but make sure it's okay. And then it depends on how old the kids are too. If they're little and don't really understand it, all they know is like it's food. And they're hungry and they want to eat right then, and then you send them home, and parents all of a sudden are like, oh, well, we made dinner. Well, child wasn't old enough. But the flip side of this is, and what got me thinking about a lot of this was, like you mentioned, that the other side, I'm half Swedish, half Hawaiian, and Polynesian cultures and cultures, and I'm going to say countries. The majority of countries, at least if you judge by the maps that were popping up on Twitter for which countries do feed their guests and which ones are probably
It's like
won't.
Greek style, right? It's like, oh, you're not hungry? I'll give you a sandwich.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like food and meal times as well. It's such a part of culture, and that's regardless of of whether you have money or you don't have money or can afford. I mean, meal times are one of those things that people share, and wherever you're going to be at, you're going to get fed. And I mean, I was talking to Lena the other day and said that when I cook food or when I cook meals, there is going to be a ton of food left over, just because I don't really cook, would you say, proportionately for the amount of.
Yep.
I just figure that people that come and eat should eat until they either can't move or fall asleep.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And imagine, like, when I was this age, the age that I'm putting in my head of this person's experience, I was living in Philadelphia, where it's all Italian heritage, or Jewish, or white Christian. So, like, pretty much, you know who the white Christian parents are, and you're like, yeah, those houses are like, they might as well be the dentist, right?
Right.
But then you go to, like, your Jewish friend's house or the Italian friend's house, and they're like, even if you just ate, they're like, you need to put a spoon of this in your mouth,
Right.
Like
Yeah.
But it just and then get it in your mouth.
Yeah.
So, like, and my best friend at the time his dad was working for the company that owned Taco Bell and all in KFC and all that stuff. So my dad had Campbell's soup in the basement, just like filled up. He had Rice Krispie treats just everywhere. So it was like, between our two houses, we could survive the nuclear apocalypse,
Yeah.
So we were always eating stuff.
Like in the fallout shelter, living on Rice Krispies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you go over there and they're like, have you had a Rice Krispie treat? Like, just go up.
Right. But I think that's all the time we're really gonna put down on Swedengate. Just because it could be its own podcast. But yeah, I mean, anybody comes over to our house, we're feeding them. Whether you want to or not, you're going to be eating when you come over to our place.
That's the important thing. Yeah. Like all the friends that I have to put up with it.
Right.
Don't
worry. Speaking of really bad movies,
here we go.
So, Adrian came home to visit this weekend. Hey, if people hear really strange noises, it's not my stomach. It's actually the dishwasher. I forgot to hit the pause.
It has nothing to do with like military exercise drills out back.
No, I forgot to
it's the
pause the dishwasher. But Adrian was home this weekend and for a visit, and I have had. I'm going to say that Northman has been kind of on my movie list, to-do list. Lena's not really into it. That's not really her type of film thing. So
this is the one with Ethan Hawke, right?
I was going to say no, but yes, indeed it is.
Yeah.
And it's Skarsgård.
Of course,
right. Get that Swedish guy. Whatever the Swedish guy,
Get one of them. There's like 18,000 of them. They're Skarsgårds. They're in Marvel and stuff like that.
I think it's mandatory. It's mandatory.
Yeah.
But it's been on my to-do list, and of course, every time I put on any movie thing, it just pops up. So
they're targeting you now.
Yes. But we went ahead and decided to watch it. No spoilers, but
He hates it. Yeah. We already know he hates it.
No, what I am going to say is I feel like I don't know if tainted is the right word, but having well, no, I mean, I'm thinking more me having watched like the Viking series. I think.
Oh, yes. I was concerned about the same thing. I was very concerned about the exact same thing.
And my expectations are,
and I have not seen the movie.
No, is up there. So I'm gonna say that I thought that I wasn't gonna be influenced, having watched the Viking series. Mm-hmm. But after the first like 5-10 minutes of the movie, Adrian turns to me and he's like, wait, are these the Viking guys or are these the English guys? So it took took us a while to actually get into the movie. Everybody's going to have to decide if you want to go ahead and see it. If you have seen it, I would be more than happy to hear what you thought. But it almost feels like if you live in Sweden, you have to see it. And after we had Eric,
it does kind of feel like an obligatory thing, right?
Yeah, because we had Eric, the Viking from the Viking Museum.
I know.
I mean, how could we not watch?
Like anytime there's like a Viking media thing, you have to be like, okay, now I must do this.
Right. Yeah. Anything with like.
Hey, speaking of movies.
Yes.
You're a movie star, huh? Sort of.
No, not yet. and technically, it's not a movie. I think
Should you have an IMDb page? That's what we want to know.
Maybe soon. Well, we'll find out. I have a little gig that I'm doing tomorrow. That's going to be. That's good. Well, we'll see. I will keep everybody posted.
Rodney has been an extra in a very famous TV show. And now he's going to be an extra again, but he can't talk about it. It's very secret.
I can't talk about it. Psst, no, can't
it may star Tom Cruise, but we don't know. We cannot confirm that.
Hey, a funny thing that happened to me the other day when I went to work. One of my coworkers turned to me and he said, "Hey, did you do voiceover? There's a series called Hamilton in Sweden." And I actually recorded like just really short voiceover track for this TV series. And he, I guess, was watching the episode that I had done the voiceover for. And he was like, "Did you happen to do a voiceover for the Hamilton series?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I knew that was you. I knew that was you."
Oh, that's the best.
And I think it's like 10 seconds long. It's,
that's kind of consistent, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, what were you before? You were like the ambassador, or you were the ambassador's assistant?
No, I was the American ambassador.
You were let it be known. Rodney was at some point in his life the American ambassador to Sweden.
Yes. Fighting for children's eating rights. No. Trying to change cultural stuff. Yeah. But we'll see. It's fun. But it's going to be a long day. We'll see where it goes. But the thing with the Hamilton, and I know I told you, I'm not sure if we mentioned it in I'm sure we must have mentioned it in one of the previous episodes. So you basically get hired, right, for like 60 minutes. They'll tell you to come in. You're going to be in the studio for 60 minutes recording stuff. Yep. There was time left over when I had got done doing what I was going to do. And they said, "Hey, would you mind like trying to do like some military, like yelling and screaming? There's action going on. And if you couldn't stick in some American curse words, that would be really great." So Rodney
channels George Carlin right now.
Yeah. So I went from
7 words you can't say on television.
But I went from doing basically a CNN type news broadcaster voice to being military yelling.
You know what my problem is with you people.
Yeah. And I channeled a lot of stuff through that right there.
I don't know if our listeners can ever imagine Rodney channeling curse words. Me, I think our listeners could imagine, but you, I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna have to see. I don't know if they ever used it, or maybe it was. Hey, let me put it this way: the voiceover track that I laid down might have been in between rating scales. It might have been like where they were like, yeah, until the Swedish Hawaiian guy did his thing, we were looking at a PG-13.
Yeah, then now it's not even allowed on media.
Yeah, no.
All right, everyone, that is going to do it for this week's episode. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to head over to our Instagram account, see what we got cooking up over there, and come back here next time for more Two Guys, Three Crowns.